Welcome on into the Wolverine recruiting show. Clayton Sayfie here with EJ Holland. Make sure to like this video on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and check us out at thewolverine.com. EJ, let's talk about some of the top recruiting storylines of the week and some big ones here as football season ramps up. Game week here for the Michigan Wolverines. They're going to start hosting visitors this weekend, but the big visit weekend is going to be for the Washington game on September 11th, night game against the Huskies at the Big House. And the guy pictured there on your screen, if you're watching on YouTube, five-star defensive back, DOMANI Jackson. He's committed to USC, but he will be on campus for that game in Ann Arbor to check it out. Huge development, huge news that you were able to break. I guess, what does this mean for Michigan? How did this kind of come about? Because, I know that for a while there, he wasn't going to make any other visits. And then I guess just, what kind of chance do you think the Wolverines have here?
Yeah, it was obviously huge news on Friday night when I posted. I think, social media kind of went wild when they saw that I reported that DOMANI was visiting. So, no, it is a big deal. This is a guy that was supposed to maybe come in for the Ohio State game, and there's family ties there with his dad being from Ohio and a lot of family living in Ohio. His dad obviously grew up a Michigan fan, and so that rivalry is something they always watch together. And so I think it meant a lot to them to come out for the Ohio State game. But when you look at what they're doing now, kind of switching it up and coming for the Washington game, not instead, I think you could see Michigan also get DOMANI back for a second time. But looking at them coming in for the Washington game, that's huge. That means you do potentially get them in twice, and you have a prime opportunity to make a huge impression. The Washington game is absolutely monumental. If Michigan wins that game, it could have a really big domino effect. You could see some guys commit while they're on campus that weekend. It could really give recruiting a recharge, and I think that would definitely help with DOMANI Jackson. Now, I'm not saying that if Michigan beats Washington, they'll flip him during that weekend, but I do think they'll position themselves to at least have a legitimate chance. And if they do continue winning after the Washington game, again, assuming they beat Washington, then that sets them up even more down the line to get DOMANI back on campus for the Ohio State game, and maybe you can flip him there. So I don't think it's out of the realms of possibilities that Michigan does flip DOMANI. I also think, there's been a lot of posts like on social media, well, he's just coming to return the favor to Will Johnson and just coming to check out Michigan. Like, he was already going to come for the Ohio State game, and now it's going to be like a one-off visit. This is an official visit for the Washington game. I think it proves that he at least has some interest in seeing how Michigan performs, how they do under the new staff, just what the environment's like as well, is something he mentioned when we reached out to him to kind of get comment on it. Just getting the environment. When he was here last, it was that self-guided tour. It was during the dead period, so he didn't get to see what it was like in Ann Arbor during a time when everything's going on. He didn't get to see the campus with students. He didn't get to feel what it's like to actually be in the Big House, to walk down that tunnel. Like, that's something that he'll actually get to experience this weekend. Everything that he grew up watching with Michigan, he'll get a full experience of that during the Washington game. But again, Michigan needs to win. If they lose the Washington game, obviously the chances of flipping DOMANI and rebuilding recruiting go way, way down. So that game is, again, absolutely monumental.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It continues to be said, but rightfully so, that game is going to be massive. Even more big now that DOMANI Jackson will be in attendance and, hanging out with, the rest of the targets and guys like that. If they can kind of convince each other to jump on board or at least, consider it a little bit more strongly after a big win against Washington, and be absolutely massive for this 2022 class. Let's go from one five-star corner to another. Will Johnson is a guy that you saw over the weekend. You were at, 5 games? Just a stab in the dark. But, yeah, okay, 5 games.
5 games.
I was at one, so credit to me for getting on the road as well and traveling almost an hour to Harper Woods to see Tayshawn Trent. We'll talk about that in a second, but EJ, take me through Let's start with Will Johnson and then take me through the rest of the games that you were able to see. Obviously out on the road seeing some Michigan recruits as the state of Michigan opened up high school football over the weekend.
Yeah, we'll touch on some of the guys I saw. Kind of give some quick hitters. So Will Johnson opened up his senior season against Detroit Renaissance, which doesn't have the best team. And Will did what he was supposed to do. He completely dominated. He had a punt return for a touchdown, which you'll see in this clip. And there's been a lot of question marks about Will's athleticism or his speed. I mean, just look at the punt return. I know it's against, not so great competition, but what he's able to do there, it just kind of magnifies that he is a really good athlete, that he does have good speed. He's still, throughout the summer, he spent time with a private speed coach, and he still goes to that speed coach once a week. So he's serious about improving his speed. He also led the Grosse Pointe South relay team to the state track meet. So he ran track this offseason, and he was really, really good as a basketball player. And he plays a lot of offense for Grosse Pointe South. You see him making some moves here. I thought this was a touchdown, so he could have had a touchdown offensively. And then what you really like about Will is this play. He had shallow, so he went with the slant, but he peeled off once he saw an open man came over and made a play on the ball. Here you don't see the receiver in the screen, but the receiver was running a go route. You saw Will cheat over to the sideline and make a great play. So the receiver got jammed and thrown off his route. Will cheated over, obviously came away with the interception. And that's just his high football IQ, making that pre-snap read, obviously being like, okay, Renaissance is splitting out their best player out wide, like past the numbers. They're obviously going to try to go deep with him, and him cheating over and making the pick. Again, just shows his awareness, his high football IQ. But yeah, Will's the total package. I think, Grosse Pointe South did a great job of playing him at safety as opposed to corner. So he actually has a chance to make plays, and he made plenty of them on Thursday night. So Will was really, really impressive once again. Outside of Will, I had a chance to see some other Michigan targets. On Friday, I went over to the big house and got to experience, being down on the field at Michigan Stadium, which was really cool. Saw CJ Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson, 2024 quarterback prospect. CJ got off to a really wild start. He threw some pretty bad balls. Remember, he's just a sophomore. He has the pressure of playing in the big house, where his grandfather coached, where his dad played. So he had some really bad balls early on, threw an interception, briefly got benched, then came back and threw 2 touchdowns in a span of a minute, then threw an interception to end the first half. So it was just so much up and down, and you could see all the nerves and everything. I was really, really excited about CJ's second half performance. He came out, despite the interception and the ups and downs of the first half, threw a beautiful deep pass in the end zone for his 3rd touchdown of the game, made some pivotal plays late, and helped lead Saline to a win over Hudsonville, which came down to the last play of the game. So I thought CJ bounced back well, and once he settled down, he showed what I really liked about him this offseason. Obviously, with him growing up around the game, technically, mechanically, he's very sound, but also just his deceptive athleticism. He can extend plays. He can roll out of the pocket, make good throws on the run. He's accurate. He, normally is safe with the ball, and he did that in the second half, not turning it over again. So I think once he settled down and got into a groove, you saw what CJ Carr can become, just a 2024 prospect, but a guy that can develop into a high-level quarterback down the line. So after I saw CJ Carr, I drove over to West Bloomfield, saw Samaj Morgan, Amir Herring, Brandon Davis-Swain, the underclassmen trio at West Bloomfield. Samaj Morgan, kind of on the shorter side at about 5'10", but man, he's explosive. He has a really compact build, really strong in his upper and lower half. He's a guy that notched a Michigan offer while camping with the Wolverines this summer, and he showed why Michigan decided to offer. He was West Bloomfield's biggest playmaker. I wrote this, but he runs routes angry. Like everything he does is hard, and the way he breaks in and out of his routes is really impressive, and he has the speed to take the top off of defense. So West Bloomfield suffered an upset loss, but he was a bright spot in an otherwise ugly game. Amir Herring, a Rivals 250 offensive lineman, also had a really, really good game. One of the priorities, along with Samaj Morgan in the 2023 class. He played left tackle. I think he's going to be an interior offensive lineman at the next level. He had a really, really good game. He's physical, aggressive, loves to bury people, and is the nicest kid off the field. But I think that Amir is like one of the safest takes in the 2023 class. You know what you're getting with him. Brandon Davis Swain is a 2024 defensive lineman that Michigan's offered early. Kind of a little bit of a project right now. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. So definitely has the frame and potential. On Saturday, I went over to the Zenith Kickoff Classic at Wayne State. The first game was River Rouge East Point, which was supposed to be a battle of Tayshaun Trent and Devontae Miles, but obviously that didn't work out. But I still went to the game because River Rouge is home to 2024 wide receiver target Nick Marsh, who already holds a Michigan offer. So it was a bad game to see Nick. It was a complete blowout, so he didn't have any, really any opportunities to make plays. Did catch a touchdown late. But Nick Marsh is a name you're going to want to keep in the back of your head. He's a 6'4", 195-pound receiver, which is great size for a sophomore. And then to cap it off, I saw Cass Tech against Southfield. Southfield has another 2024 prospect with a Michigan offer, quarterback Isaiah Marshall. And he's a guy that, he's on the shorter side, but he checks all the boxes, even facing constant pressure from the man in that photo, Dion Walker. He made his plays, and I thought he had a really good game. I'm interested to see how he continues to develop. And if he grows a couple of inches, he could easily be one of the top quarterback prospects in the country when his time comes. But that guy right there was a monster. Dion Walker just was named the Iron Man at the Zenith Kickoff Classic, and that's because he went both ways almost the whole time. And it was hot in Detroit this weekend, like really hot, like Dallas type level hot.
Crazy.
It was so hot. It was like in the 90s, and then on the field, like it obviously gets hotter on the field with the turf and everything. It felt like 100. And for Dion Walker to be 6'6", 6'7", 350 pounds, playing both ways in that heat and playing at a high level at both offensive tackle and defensive tackle, I think speaks volumes of him just as a player.
Is that something that he could have done a year ago, do you think?
No, I don't think he could have done that a year ago.
I agree.
Actually.
Yeah.
I said this in my podcast, but I was like, last year Dion was a big pillow, and then as the season progressed, he became like the actual mammoth, and now he's, everything you want in a high level prospect. So no, I think Dion's put in tremendous work, and it's showing on the field, and his ability to just stay out there. Even Kenneth Grant, who I think has a little bit of a better build or carries his weight a little better than Dion at this point in the recruitment, a fellow top defensive tackle target. Kenneth struggled to stay on the field when trying to go both ways. Dion, I thought, it didn't seem like he was ever tired, and they would take him out. And then he would take like a quick water break, and then he'd be like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then it was just like, it really impressed me how in shape he was, considering how much weight he is carrying. But other than just being the Iron Man, I mean, from the defensive tackle spot, he had a tremendous game. I mean, he knifed through double teams, made a couple of key tackles for loss, just showed off his explosiveness. And the other thing about Dion too is that he's not a raw prospect anymore. Like I always used to write, like Dion's this big raw prospect. Like he's not raw anymore. Like he's really come a long way from a technical standpoint too. He plays low to the point where that height doesn't hinder him. Like a lot of people have been like, oh, he's 6'7", 6'6", he's going to play offensive tackle. Like he stays low. He plays really balanced as well. He uses his hands extremely well. So I think that Dion is a defensive tackle. But yes, he does have the flexibility to play offensive tackle, and he made a kid fly in pass pro while playing left tackle, and he just bullied kids around.
I saw that clip. Ridiculous.
So he just had a really good game. The last prospect I'll mention is Dion's teammate, Jalen Thompson, Rivals 250 defensive end in the 2023 class, another priority for Michigan. He flashed. He's about 6'4", 240 pounds right now, so has the frame to add some weight. Just an athletic guy that you can put as an edge rusher in Michigan's 3-4 scheme. But he's definitely one to keep an eye on for Cass Tech as well.
And then real quick before we go, today we're recording this August 31 in the afternoon at midnight. College coaches will be able to reach out directly to 2023 prospects. Right now, you kind of got to go through a coach or, say, hey, have this kid call me or whatever. Now that communication starts to ramp up for that next cycle. Ryan Osborne, Michigan's defensive analyst. I don't know if you saw this. Let's see. Here it is for the YouTube viewers. He's ready for tonight. He's got a few cases of Red Bull there. So they will be obviously working the phone lines tonight. So who do you think Michigan's first couple calls maybe will be to, and I guess how important is this night in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I know. I know who Coach Oz is going to be calling. He'll be calling Trey Wilson, who's a Rivals 250 edge rusher out of Dallas, Texas. He is a priority target for next cycle, and teammate of 2021 signee Ike Wuna. He visited this summer and is getting back on campus for the fall. So he'll be reaching out to Trey Wilson. He'll be reaching out to AJ Hoffler. That's a name that all Michigan fans need to know. Michigan leads for him. He's out of Atlanta, another athletic pass rusher. So yeah, those are some of the guys Coach Oz will be personally reaching out to. But from an overall standpoint, I mean, some of the guys we just mentioned, Jalen Thompson, who is a priority guy in the 2023 class, and Samaj Morgan and Amir Herring, all the in-state crew. But of course, the best in-state prospect and arguably the most important prospect on Michigan's board, Dante Moore, coming off, I think, like a 400-yard, 5-touchdown game in his junior season opener. I've been telling people enough with just Malachi Nelson and Arch Manning. Dante Moore is right up there, 5-star guy. Love Dante, and I mean, he is the crown jewel for the 2023 class. So Michigan will obviously be reaching out to Dante Moore right away. So yeah, those are just a few of the guys. I think Dante's number one. I got a text from Luke Montgomery's dad, Rivals 100 offensive lineman, who visited twice this offseason out of Findlay, Ohio. His dad texted me and was like, "Hey, it sounds like Michigan's going to be making calls at midnight, so we're going to stay up till midnight to make sure we're on the line with them." So I think all the top 2023 guys will obviously get calls and personal texts from Harbaugh. I think it's going to be fun, especially me for a night owl that's always up late. I'll have some content going up at midnight, so it should be a fun eve of the hours heading into midnight.
Yeah, midnight, right around dinner time for you. So
Yeah,
that should be pretty good. So look out for that at thewolverine.com. And join us over there, over on our message board. You can use the promo code BLUE60. If you haven't done so, please like this video. It'll help other people see it, and subscribe to our channel as well. Hit the bell button so you can get a notification each and every time we get a video. We got press conferences. We got all sorts of podcasts and everything. So keep it locked right here for this football season at thewolverine.com.